you guys wanted some like tips and pointers on how to like organize and sort stuff. So I've been doing that for a long time, and I'm doing it a lot. Like no one ever really builds with Lego, they mostly just sort it. So yeah, there's some tips on how to make it easier and go faster. Basically, my first biggest tip is just, you got like this big box of just unsorted stuff and you look at it and you're just like, oh, nope. But you just don't worry about sorting it all into individual little different pieces right away. The first thing you want to do is just sort it into like categories. So you just got the bricks, the plates, the vehicle bits, slopes, tiles, whatever. And then once you've done that, you've got like 10 or 12 smaller little boxes, and you can sort by individual piece. Or if you don't even want to, you can just throw that in a box. Like with like bricks or something, you can just throw all that in the box. Actually, the best way to sort bricks is you don't sort those by size. Like everything else, you sort by type of piece, because it's easier to find instead of just a big block of color. But with bricks and plates, you can just sort those just by color. So all the red bricks and stuff. Because when you're building something, you if you're like building a building and you want to make it red, you could, instead of grabbing like your box of 1x1s, 1x2s, 1x3s, all that, just grab your box of red brick, go to town. It's easier that way. The other big tip is big pieces and small pieces sort separately, because otherwise you will be digging to the bottom all the time and it's just no fun. So you want to pull out like the 1x1 bricks and 1x1 plates from all that. And yeah, it's just, once you start and you just do it piece by piece instead of all at once, it's a lot less daunting and you don't have to do it all at once. You can just turn on a movie or the radio or whatever. Just, yeah. And organizing it, it depends on how you want to do it. So there's like different sort of, actually brought some little bins to show off for ideas on how to organize stuff. A lot of people use like plastic bags, which I don't really like doing because it's a pain to open them up and pull out the pieces, close it, put it back, and then they never close all the way and you pick it up and it all falls out. But it's a good way of doing pieces you don't use all the time. And other ways, there's like drawers you can buy. You can buy like the big towers of drawers, and then there's the smaller ones. There's like the parts cabinets you can get at like Canadian Tire and stuff for like screws and such. And those are a little bit expensive, but they work really well. You can pull out the drawers and carry them around. So that's my preferred way, but I can't afford everything in a drawer, so I use like plastic bins you can get. Actually brought some because they're really, these are good bins. These are the best I've found. So you can get these little guys. They're these little KIS in-box bins. They're really nice. You can actually get these at Dollarama. They come in a pack of 3 for $3. So that's pretty good, $1 each. And they're really useful because, and they're good quality. They won't fall apart on you, and they're clear so you can see through them and you don't have to label it. And the other one I like is these bigger ones. They're a Sterilite. These ones you can get at Walmart. They get them in once in a while. A pack of 5 for $6. Last time they had packs of 10 for $10. So again, they're cheaper and they're bigger than those ones. And they do stack really nicely. So yeah, the advantage with having those bigger bins is you can see through them. Then you can just put these on a shelf. You could stack them like 2 or 3. Stacking more than 3 isn't very helpful because you have to move it off, pull it off, get it out, especially when you're sorting. And then for smaller pieces, like minifig parts or such, There's you can get the fishing tackle boxes, the Plano ones. They're a pretty good price at Walmart. They have the removable drawers and such, and there's different sizes. And there's another really nice one. Some of the junior sets come in these little cases, which are same thing, sort of. See, it's got little dividers that you can removable, and these are, if you're already buying these, it's really good, and these have started to go on clearance for a lot, so you can buy it, and there's some Lego in it. Woo! Then another fun little, the cheapest way, okay, small sets that come with those pull tabs, you're supposed to punch in and pull the box out. You open them like this, put your finger in there, yeah, and then you've got a little box, put them in. And the neat thing, this little flap, you can go like that, and it stays closed. Ooh. And you can also, if you want, you can, if you're using like big drawers or whatever, you can cut the back flaps off and put them in the drawers for dividers. Or you can go buy like dollar store, there's the little like utensil dividers. You can use those too. But yeah, it's just a cute little tip, because I like that. It's a fun little thing. And then for sorting, just like, I've got this tray, got a few of these, they're from like TV dinners, like cabbage rolls I think was in this one. But yeah, like plastic containers you get from food and stuff, you just wash them out and then you can use them for stuff again, and that's another good way of getting storage. It depends how, because a lot of people have like just a mishmash of different types of bins and stuff, just whatever's on sale at the time, or you can get fancy and just get all of one type and go nuts.
Right now, Home Depot has shoebox sizes of that little one that you got from the dollar store.
This guy?
I like those because they're square, so they don't have as much dead space.
Exactly, yeah.
And they have them right now, 8 shoeboxes for $6.
That's not bad.
Clear.
Nice.
Those Kiss ones, I'm buying lots of those because there's a whole bunch of different sizes that you can use, and they're all interchangeable and they all stack. The smaller ones stack nicely on top.
It's all like a system, and you can like two of the little ones fit on one of the larger ones, and then there's next large, and there's really big ones.
Brilliant. It's like they studied Lego.
And then for large pieces you don't use that often, like boat hulls and train track or whatever. Just paper boxes work great. You can go to Staples and they sell them for like $1 each. And it's just like a big box, and the advantage with paper boxes is normal cardboard boxes have those like the flaps on the bottom that close in, and that's how the box is made. But Lego will always get stuck underneath those flaps, and you have to pull it out, or it's a pain, but paper boxes don't have those flaps, so they're the best. Yeah?
Well, if you have boxes with flaps, like those Bankers boxes you can get from Staples, I found that if you put duct tape at the bottom around all the cracks, then it's Lego tight.
Yeah, you can tape up the bottom. It's just work.
More work.
It's work. And then other organizing tips, keeping like the small parts separate from the big parts. If you want, you can separate, minifigs. It depends how you want to sort them. There's advantages to like sorting them into like the fish tackle boxes, like by type or whatever, so you can find them easier. But it's also easy to just have like a big box full of minifigs, and you can just pull random ones out if you need random ones. But that way it's hard to find what you're looking for. So it just depends how you build and what you do with those. Also, printed pieces, it's a good idea to keep those separate from unprinted pieces, because you will always grab one when you're looking for the other. And again, it depends how you want to sort those. If you just want to put them like by all the different types of like what's on them, like here's all the computers, keyboards, here's all the police logos, that sort of thing. Or if you just want to throw them all away in a big box if you don't use them that often, that sort of thing. And yeah, it's not that hard once you start, and it's just finding what works best for you and going that way. But yeah, the best advice I can give is just divide it into just smaller groups of similar parts, and then it won't be as daunting a task as like, oh, I have to sort this giant box and there's like 250 different parts. And oh, I forgot to bring one, but for sorting, if you ever get those Lego advent calendars, those little tray plastic, well they're cardboard now, but the trays inside, you cut the box open, you pull them out, you've got a tray of just 24 dividers, and you can just put smaller pieces in there and it works great. But the only real catch there is they're kind of, if you have big hands like mine, they're kind of hard to pull the pieces out, but they work great for sorting. So I can't really think of anything else to say right now, so I'll take some questions now. If anyone has anything they want to ask, go ahead and I'll answer to the best of my ability.
Not so much. Go first.
Anyone?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, not so much a question, but an idea that I have, and it works for me, is I have a lot of those Plano boxes for the smaller stuff, particularly really small plates and tiles, and also Technic ones. And I have a lot of them stacked up in my IKEA shelf in the living room, and I put labels on the sides of each container so I don't have to pull the box out to see what's in it.
Exactly.
And I store them in my group, like say this is all bricks, this is all non-Technic bricks, this is all non-Technic plates, etc.
Yeah, labeling things is a really good idea. It saves a lot of hassle. It's just that with like big bins like these, like you can clearly see what's in there if it's up on the shelf. You don't really need to label it. Like you can look in and it's like, oh, it's car fenders. Awesome. But
Yeah, with Plano boxes, it's
Yeah.
more necessary because they're a
Plano
lot thinner and the plastic becomes cloudy over time.
yeah. And with Plano boxes and like the little parts cabinet drawers and
Yeah.
such, you can't really tell at a glance what's in there. So labels are a really good idea for those. And there's different ways you can do labels. Like there's a website that I forget exactly what it is, but he's made a bunch of really fancy labels you can print off with like a picture of the part and the part number and such. Or you can do my way and just take like a piece of masking tape and write on it. But it depends how fancy you want to get. It looks really nice when you do.
You could take a sacrificial part and glue it or tape it
Yeah,
to
you
the
could just.
outside of the box.
That's how the Lego store identifies their PAB K2s. They just take a piece out and tape it on. And also another good idea that I just remembered now I'm thinking about pick-a-brick parts is if you have a bazillion of one specific type of part, like, oh, here's all my
1x1 bricks.
1x1 bricks, and I have like 300,000 black ones. So it's a good idea to take, not all of them, but most of them out, and then just put a lot of them in a bag and put them in like an overflow box or whatever. Just have a box of bags of like parts you have a ton of. Because then if you just need a few of the part, you'll be fine. But if you do need all those black 1x1 bricks, you can just go get your bag.
That's what I gotta start doing.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
Has anyone really been as far as decided to use even go want to do look more like?
About 12. Maybe if you want to be really specific, you could go up to like 14 or 15, but you don't really need that many.
Now, when you're sorting minifigs that are non-collectible, do you pull them apart and keep torsos and heads and all that separate, or do you tend to still lump them all together?
No, that's, I take it all apart. I even take the collectible ones apart that I'm not displaying. But I just find it easier to take it all apart and sort them by like what's on, what the printing is and everything. Like, here's all the police torsos, here's all the minifig heads with mustaches. It just makes it easier to find what I'm looking for. But if you just need like, when you're building, you're just like, oh, I need like just random people to put on my building, then and you just do it that way, it's a good idea. Just throw all your minifigs in a box and you can just pull some out. So it all depends on how you build and what you do with your parts, and just finding the system that works best for you. Yeah. Take some
I do
experimenting.
mostly Technic, so I'm like, I'm gonna have all my axles in this bag, and I don't sort them by color, because color is usually tied to a function in Technic.
For Technic axles and pins and stuff, it's best to sort it by size. Like you want to keep all all the 6 axles separate from all the 7 axles, so you can find, or the 8 axles, so you can just, instead of having to dig and like,
What I tend
that's
to do,
wrong.
I do them in pairs, because they always alter colors. So I'll do my 3s and 4s in one bag, because the 3s are always going to be gray and the 4s are going to be black.
Yeah.
But then I'll put my 5s and 6s in another bag, because again, one set will be gray, one set will be black.
Yeah.
So that way I don't have to have 12 individual bags for 12 different sizes, but I can still quickly go, yeah, there's my 6s and 7s. I want a 6, so there's my 6 out of that.
I think the even numbers are black and the odds are light gray.
Yeah, for the most part.
Or at least this
And
decade
the
they are.
two length ones started out black and then now are red
Yeah, in summer.
and have notches.
Yeah, and there's still some with black.
Yeah?
The notches are so you can actually like grab them and
Yeah,
hold them
that
and
helps.
stuff easier. But yeah, I kind of made a mistake. I don't use my Technic stuff that often, so what I did is I sorted all my Technic pins in just one box. Like, this is all the Technic pins, and I was building something recently and I needed the Technic axle pin in black. But the problem is they're rare, so I didn't have that many of them. And they're mixed in with all my other Technic pins, which has about 300,000 of the regular black Technic pin. So it took like half hour to find the axle pin, so I might have to do something about that. The other problem is that if I do it that way, it starts getting more of a pain to sort, and no one has the time for that. So it just depends on like what your needs are and what you have the time for, right? So if you don't have the time to sort all your plates by color or size, you just throw them all in one thing. Or if it's like, oh, these are like the Technic pins, it's just like, oh, I could spend, it depends how often you use stuff like that. If you just throw it in one thing and you don't touch it that often, it's fine. It doesn't really necessitate the time it takes to separate it out better and space for more divisions or bags or what have you. So
Do you find yourself sorting out a lot of kits that have been pre-assembled, now you gotta tear them apart before
Yes.
you start sorting them?
yes, I do that a lot because I build all my set. What I do is I build all my sets and then I keep them around for a little while and look at them, and then when I get bored I sort them so I can use the pieces for other things. And
So do you like the old brick separator or the new brick separator?
I like the new brick separator, but for 2 reasons. It's got the little pick so you can pull tiles off, and it's got the little axle so you can push Technic pins out. Those are my 2 favorite things in the entire world.
No. Do you want an awesome tip for Technic pins? Who remembers there's a soccer set, I don't remember exactly when,
Oh, yeah.
but probably 10, 20 years ago?
Oh, the little goal.
And the goalie had, it was a Technic pin with a handle on it. Now, that Technic pin is a weird piece, or that axle, because it is not standard axle
Yeah, it's
size.
thinner,
It is
isn't it?
slightly thinner, so that if you have an axle, what I did, I found a used set and I had no use for a goalie, so I snipped the ball off, and now it becomes a pusher, because when you push it in the same slot as an axle, it will slide through and then it will slide out. Whereas if you use another
Oh, so use a
axle,
rod for
now
it.
you've just pushed another axle in and you still have to get that axle out.
You could also use a thin rod for that, like a lightsaber
Yeah,
blade.
I find myself using like the lightsaber blades or the
Yeah, those
six
for the
long
small
ones.
ones, those ones are okay, but
Yeah.
sometimes because that goalie, it's probably about 6 or 7 long, so it has a really good reach on it. and it has a nice handle, so after you got it in, you can pull it back out.
So now that I'm thinking about antennas, another good idea is Lego is pretty sturdy, like it's not fragile by any means, but some parts, like the super rare, super old ones, or like big transparent pieces, you want to keep them separate from the rest, just so they don't get damaged. So like I'm thinking, for me, the big one is those old TV antenna pieces. Those are pretty fragile, and I'm paranoid about bending them or breaking them, so they just, every time I build something with them, I put it on last, and then when I go to sort it, I take it out and immediately put it away, because I'm scared to damage those.
Micromotors. Not only are they
Micromotors.
rare, but they have some special pins that are easy to break.
Yeah, and another piece that breaks really easy is the old like 4.5 volt track, those sleepers. Those little pins that hold the track on, they snap if you look at them wrong. So, but yeah, for the most part, Lego is not, like, there's some people who take all their big windshield pieces and they wrap them all in like saran wrap and store them all like that. I think that's kind of overkill, but you don't have to do that. They can just, like, I just throw all mine in the same bin. Just don't like manhandle them and just like start throwing them around and stuff. Just
So you're saying that the clear pieces are just naturally become more brittle over time than the regular bricks?
no, not the just scratches on it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah. that would
like
make
they get
sense.
scratched up and scuffed up, and you want your clear pieces to be nice and
Clear, yeah.
clear. So you don't have to really baby them. Just be a little more gentle than you would with other pieces, because so don't like throw them across the room. But you don't have to go like wrap them all individually in saran wrap and store them that way, because that's kind
Store them in baby oil.
yeah.
Is there anything that you can do storage-wise to prevent discoloration in white bricks?
It happens naturally over time, like not too much. Just keep it out of direct sunlight. Like just don't put it on the window. Yeah, and fluorescent lights. So if fluorescent lights, they help the yellow bricks.
Halogen
apparently.
lights too.
Yeah. But so incandescent bulbs. I have an LED light, so that should be fine. I hope. But
I'll find out in 20 years.
yeah. But yeah, there is also a way to undiscolor Lego bricks using hydrogen peroxide. But that's kind of a topic for another discussion. I don't really want to get into like that sort of thing, but the sort of general gist is you just take some hydrogen peroxide, you put the Lego in it, you put it out in the sun, and then there's the chemical reaction that reverses the yellowing. It's the same sort of thing they used to do old computer cases, that sort of thing. That's how it was discovered, because they found a way to do that with the old computer cases, and turns out those are made out of ABS, so it works with Lego too.
Hydrogen peroxide bleaches a lot of things,
Yep.
like teeth.
Yes. Don't drink hydrogen peroxide.
Well, some people actually do that. Dilute, of course, because the concentrated is corrosive, but
Yeah.
you think that the extra oxygen is good
Don't
for
drink
you.
rubbing alcohol, kids.
Well, that's also another bad thing to do.
Yeah.
You can't tell me what to do.
How about cleaning used Lego before
Clean.
you start?
Yeah, depends how, like if it's big, the easiest way I've found to clean stuff is take a big like bucket or something, fill it with water, a bunch of dish soap, swish it, put your Lego in there, swish it around, and then get rid of the water, pour it out on a towel and leave it to dry. And then when you're sorting, if you find one that's really grungy, you set it aside and you just take a little brush and you scrub it off. Depending on the brush you use, it might scratch the piece a bit, but it's better to have a piece that's a little scratched up than a piece that's all full of crud. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways to wash it. A lot of people get like a mesh bag and put it in the dishwasher. That works too, but the first time I tried it, the bag broke and the pieces went everywhere, so I don't do that anymore. And then when you're washing it, take out all the stickered pieces, because stickers, they will come off.
Take all the batteries out.
The batteries, yes.
I found that
It's a good idea to get rid separate out like the old wheels with the metal axles and that sort of thing, because they'll rust.
I found that pine sol, the nicer flavored ones, not pine sol flavored pine sol, works really well for getting the gunk off, and unlike soap, it tends to rinse off a little better,
Yeah,
so you don't get so much residue after the cleaning.
yeah. Like regular soap, you'll get like the soap scum, but like dish soap will do better than like hand soap. So, yeah.
This is a question to do with storage. Where should somebody keep all their Halo ones?
The Halo ones go with the Call of Duty ones.
In the garbage?
Yeah. Well, not in the garbage. If you get Mega Blocks, if you have a bunch of Mega Blocks, what I do is I just throw all my Mega Blocks and stuff in a box, and then when the box gets full, I sell it at a garage sale or donate it or whatever. Because you don't want it. You don't want to throw it out. Like someone will want it. Like kids don't really mind.
Right off the
Because-
GG's Lego.
Yeah. Just don't-
Legos
don't-
with an S.
Don't pretend it's Lego, just say, hey, I've got some Mega Blocks and stuff. And someone will want it. Like, it's not like it's absolute garbage, it's just we don't use it unless you're cheating. But that's another topic for another time. Like the clone brands and third-party stuff, and if that's kosher to use, because I would love to use those Mega Blocks double-sided plates. Those are beautiful. It's just got studs on both sides, but it's the forbidden fruit.
There's gonna come a day that when you're done with your Lego set, you pull it apart by color and you pour it back in the hopper of your 3D printer, and it just melts it and then reforms whatever new piece you want, and then you don't have to store it all.
Yeah, I would love to be able to reform some of my pieces, like all the those little S bracket pieces I have about 3 million of and never use. But, and again, 3D printing Lego, is that cheating? Is it not? We don't know. So,
We need our
That could be
Lego
a,
brand
that's a-
printers.
that could be a whole topic for
That could be a
another day,
whole
is
topic,
illegal
yes.
modifications.
yeah, modifications, third party. I will say one thing, if there's a broken piece, don't throw it out. Because it's wrong to throw out Lego. But it's neat to have like what I do, I have like a separate bin. I put all my broken pieces that I get in, and then I use them for trash, like fill dumpsters with them and whatever. I'm building a scrap yard in my city, and I'm just gonna put a bunch of broken Lego pieces in and build some cars out of like the really crapped up yellowed white stuff. And so yeah, just be clever.
Are there any issues with, if you're, say, trying to fit a whole bunch of 2x4 bricks into a case and you're trying to save space and you stack them all together? At what point does that become potentially damaging to the brick? Or does it?
Sometimes, if you leave something together for a long time, the bricks, sometimes they crack. Like it's usually like the little 1x1 pieces, like the cheese slopes and such. And when you take it apart, they're just fractured into a million pieces. A lot of people have been taking apart their, I've seen online, they've been taking apart their UCS sand crawlers. And all the tiny brown pieces, for whatever reason, just crumble to dust. And it's just some quality control stuff that we have no control over. But for the most part, keeping your bricks together shouldn't damage them in the long run. I mean, maybe microscopically, but sometimes parts will crack if you leave them together for too long, but it's usually just the smaller ones. So, and also I find stacking pieces to store them is kind of annoying, because then you
have to unstack them.
have to unstack them, yeah. It all depends how you do.
For plates, something that works for me is to stack them, but one off, like
Yeah.
so that they're easier to pull apart.
Yes, if you stack plates directly on top of another and have a big pile of them, you will never get those unstuck in your life, unless you take like a jackhammer, get in there,
Yeah.
especially
well,
the bigger
that's
ones.
your use for your old brick separators.
Yes.
Because you can put one on the top, one
Yeah.
on the bottom, and they will separate most anything.
Yeah.
With the big plates, especially base plates, I like to stack them one up and down
One- and then they slide
because,
off.
especially base plates where you can't stick them together if you want to, and it literally halves the space that they use up.
Yeah. I had a tip for storing a base plate, but they don't make them anymore because they package them differently. You used to be able to go down to the Lego store and ask them really nicely, and they would give you the box that the base plates are shipped to them in. And it's just like a flat box that's perfectly base plate size, and you can fit like 12 or 14 of them in there, and just slip them under somewhere. But they package them differently now. They're like in a sort of envelope style box, so it doesn't work that way. Also, if you have some of them kicking around, the boxes that the Lego board games used to come in, they're really
Yes.
nice sturdy boxes that are useful for stuff, and they are exactly base plate size. The big ones, the square ones, are exactly base plate sized because they have a base plate in them, so you can put some in there and then close the lid. Or
That is the only Lego box I still have in my possession is a game, just because it can stack my base plates.
yes, those boxes are worth. They don't make them anymore, but if you have some kicking around, they're worth keeping. Also, the box are like Lego Ideas sets. Those are really nice boxes too. They have like a little flap you can open up, and those are good for storing some stuff in. And another piece of advice I just thought of, when you do store your stuff, make sure all your containers are closed, because otherwise dust and spiders and crap get in and it's gross. But that's just my personal preference. Like I always get like, I dig in there and then there's like all this dust at the bottom and it's like, ah!
Save the spiders for later. Those are
Yeah,
good.
you put the spiders in a different box. That's for, you bring them work for snacks.
Is there any issue with stack or storing trans clear parts, just having them touching as opposed to actually snap together? Because I know if you have, say, a trans clear lightsaber blade stuck through a trans clear 2x2 dish, those two parts can actually weld together
Yeah, it's,
because of the type of plastic.
yeah, they're made out of polycarbonate, I think it is. And polycarbonate has the unfortunate side effect that it causes friction with itself. So if you put like a cone on a lightsaber blade, they will fuse molecularly together. But since it's not actually jammed in there, and they're just sitting next to each other, it shouldn't be a problem. You just have a big pile of them because they're not like even like if you stick two of the parts like stud wise, it's just that sticking a bar into a hole is a really, like, even without the polycarbonate, it's a really tight connection sometimes. So the friction thing just makes it that much harder to get apart. I actually have a piece that I have no idea how the heck I'm going to get apart without damaging one or two of the pieces. In a garage sale, I have a piece from a garage sale. I have a minifig helmet jammed into a trash can with the part that goes in the minifig head down. So you look in the trash can and it's just like the top of the helmet, and it's jammed in there so good. I have no idea. The only thing I can think of is drill a hole in the bottom of the trash can and poke it out. But I don't really want to damage parts, so it's just kind of been sitting there.
Well, if the
Well,
helmet
I
is
got some
garbage,
garage
it's
sale
in there
too.
for a reason.
It's
Glue
going to
parts.
Put it in
I
the
got,
dump.
yeah, for a garage sale, two parts that I swear were glued together.
There are, yes. Glue is a whole different story. Like there's some solvents that can take glue apart, but with certain glues, like Craggle, it actually melts the plastic together.
Well, airplane
So
glue
those-
does that.
Airplane
Welds
glue
it,
does
yes.
Yeah.
Ron's weird glue that he makes out of
Horses.
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 Lego horses. But like old Lego pieces and acetone. He melts them and then it becomes like a solvent and it just fuses the bricks together. So that sort of, once pieces are glued together, for the most part, they are glued together. So, and I've also got some old classic space parts that a piece had been glued on, then it came off and then there's just glue residue on there. And I have no idea how to get that off without chipping it off with a knife. But that's the sort of thing you do when you find, when you buy used Lego. It's just, what the hell? It's just like the worst thing ever, clay. Ugh, that's a pain in the ass to get off. Like you get a brick and it's just filled with clay at the bottom. It's just, oh. But yeah. Washing and sorting and all that. Any other questions? No?
Thank you very much, Chris.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Longer than I thought.